Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. So I may not be like the best at eyeshadow, but I own a lot of eyeshadow palettes, and I thought that it might be a little bit of fun to share with you guys what my top 5 eyeshadow palettes are. But first, before I do that, my camera's about to die and I'm gonna go change that. I'm back. My camera it has a full battery now. Like I was saying, but first I would like you guys to let me know down in the comments, are you guys team pastel or team bright colors? Right now I am wearing 3 of the eyeshadow palettes on my face, and I'm about to tell you guys what they are. I'm going to start with my least favorite out of the 5. Obviously it's still one of my absolute favorite palettes, but it's the lowest out of the 5. It is the Revolution Soph X, the original palette. And this is one of the first palettes I ever really had. I got a couple ColourPop palettes and then I got this one. And this was the first one that I really used on a daily basis. The reason that I'm putting this one in here is not only because I do still tend to reach for this, especially with like neutral eye looks, is that you can do neutral eye looks and then it still has a few pops of color. And I am going to be swatching for you guys like my favorite shades in the palette. This palette retails for $15. It is really good and the quality of the eyeshadows are really good, especially for the price. And I just feel like this is kind of like a staple palette to have in your collection. One of the things that draws me to this palette the most, other than the fact that it clips shut, it's very thin, perfect for travel, and it's got a huge mirror, honestly, is this shade right here. It's this warm brown. It's called Rosewood, I believe. This is probably my favorite brown to use for any eyeshadow look. So if I do an eyeshadow look and I want a warm brown, I'm usually going to need this shade right here. Now obviously it has a lot of amazing shades. I used to use this shade right here, this light pink, and then this whole little section of like nudes and reddish colors. I used to use that on my eyes every single day when I would do my makeup. I would just make sort of a neutral pinky eye look and I would use that every single day. Here are some swatches. I'm going to read them from here to here so you guys know. These shimmers are Fairy Lights, Pink Champagne, and Pancakes. And then the 3 mattes are 3 of my favorite matte shades. We've got Iced Coffee, Mug Cake, I messed that up, it's not Rosewood, it's Mug Cake, and Peaches. And these are my favorite shades from this palette. I definitely think if you guys are looking for a good neutral eyeshadow palette and you're not really sure what to get, I definitely would recommend the Revolution Soph X. So that was the number 5. Now the number 4, I'm kind of shocked this one's number 4 and not like number 1, but it's definitely number 4, is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I can't believe I made this number 4, but honestly, like as much as I do reach for this, I feel like the price point kind of makes me bump it down just a little bit. These shades are beautiful and the pigmentation is honestly unbeatable. The pigmentation in this palette, for it being a pastel palette, is top notch. I mean, the price tag I definitely think is worth it if you have the money, but I don't think you need to go like spending all of your money just to get this palette. I don't think it's that much to die for, but it is beautiful. I mean, I bought this for myself for my birthday, so it was kind of like a splurging on myself sort of moment, and if you want to have one of those moments, you definitely should pick up this palette, especially if you like pastels. So honestly, one of the shades that I absolutely love is Super Moon. It's the shimmer right here. I will swatch it for you. It is so gorgeous. But I just find that if I want to do a really bold pastel look, if that makes sense, I usually run to this palette. It's stunning, and the shimmers in it are stunning, and I've just found that they blend really easily. They're pretty much like butter. I mean, they are so pigmented, so easy to blend out. It is incredible. I was so amazed. I just kind of thought that Huda Beauty was just like a lot of hype and wasn't really going to live up to it, but it lived up to it for sure. So here are some shades from the palette. It's kind of hard to see this one right here, which is called Super Moon. It's a little hard to see, but look at just how wet these shimmers look. I mean, they're foiled eyeshadows. They are gorgeous. We have Super Moon, Gold Glitch, Nebula, and then the mattes are Haze, Off Balance, and Libra. Honestly, Haze is probably my favorite shade in this palette. I absolutely love that mint green shade. It is beautiful. It is one of my favorite eyeshadows to use like ever. Moving on to my third place favorite eyeshadow palette. It is another Revolution one. It is the Revolution Patricia Bright Rich in Color palette. One, I love the packaging. It is this really nice metal packaging. I love it. It feels so sturdy and I love that about it. It has a huge mirror that you can just like flip down, so you just have the palette, and I love that about it because of the metal packaging. It's just so nice. So I am wearing one of these shades on my eyes today. It is the shade Fruit Punch. I have it right here, and only because the other palette I have didn't really have the pink that I wanted, so I wanted to use this. I love this palette. There was a couple weeks where this is pretty much the only eyeshadow palette I wore. The shades in this are absolutely stunning. There are only a couple complaints that I have. No Exit and Honey Pot look like really beautiful shades, but they don't come out that way on your eye. But the rest of them, especially the mattes, are gorgeous. I'm gonna swatch them for you guys. This is a beautiful, colorful palette. If you're new with colors, but you love bright, pigmented colors, this is it. On the back, it has which ones are labeled as pressed pigments, so that, you know, that's a little bit of a warning. Obviously, some of them are pressed pigments, which means that they're not technically allowed to be considered eyeshadows because they could be considered not safe for your eyes, only because they could stain your eyes because of the pigmentation. I believe Fruit Punch is a pressed pigment. Fruit Punch is a pressed pigment. I have used that shade several times. It does tend to stain my eyelids. Alright, so as you guys can probably tell, these are all matte. I didn't swatch any shimmers because I really don't use any of the shimmers in this palette. I pretty much only use the mattes. So I really just want to show you guys the shades that I personally like. We've got Fruit Punch, Vitamin C, Green Juice, Rich, which is one of my faves. I absolutely love that one. Miss Tropicana, which is a perfect red eyeshadow, just absolutely stunning. And then Yes Peaches. It has your basic bright shades. Also, by the way, guys, I made a TikTok. I know TikTok's supposed to be getting banned here in the US, so I kind of wanted to make a TikTok before it left. So now if it stays, then go ahead and follow me on TikTok. It's just at Simply Emmatation. I made my first TikTok today when I was doing this look. Moving on to my second favorite palette. My last two favorite palettes are actually from Morphe. I'm pretty sure this palette is probably going to be in almost everyone's favorite eyeshadow palettes video because it is a staple for your collection. And it is the Morphe James Charles palette. Hi, sisters. I feel like I don't need to tell you guys why I love this palette other than it has almost every shade you could ever want. That's pretty much why I love this palette. If I want to do a colorful look, this is typically the palette I go for. Sometimes I mix in a little bit of Patricia Bright just to get extra colors. Down the middle are supposed to be for sort of mixing. You know, you've got a white and a black, make colors lighter, make colors darker. And then over here you have your more neutrals, over here your brighter colors. I think this palette is honestly genius, and it's just really a stunning palette. I love it, and now I'm going to swatch some of my favorite shades. So as you guys can see swatched, I love to use the blues, the greens, and the purples in this palette. They're probably my favorite colors in the palette. And the first shade is one of these shimmers. It's kind of the highlighter of the palette. I mean, James uses it as a highlighter, and that is the shade Face. Then we have the shade Single, Playground, Brother, which is actually one of my favorite shades. I love it. Social Blade, and Artistry. I love these colors, and right now on my eyes I have Single and Escape mixed. The purple is Single and Escape mixed, and then Playground is the blue in the outer corner. It also blends like a dream, and I would like to mention that I have almost never had a problem with fallout while using James Charles palette with Morphe. And the number one, my absolute favorite palette, the day I got this was just a day of love. It is the Morphe 351 Icy Fantasy palette. This is their pastel palette, and oh my gosh, I feel like every time I open this, it's just going, like every time. It's amazing. I know it doesn't look like much, like especially on my camera, it just does not do it justice. And honestly, when I was looking at it online, I was like, I want to get that so that I have pastels if I want to use them. But now I very rarely want to not use pastels because these shades are freaking gorgeous. And I don't know what formula some of these are. These like really glittery ones that look just like wet on your face. I don't know what those are, but Morphe needs to come out with a whole palette of just those. I'm serious. They are stunning. I don't know what it is about them, but they need to make a whole palette. So obviously this is what is on this side of my eye. I'm using this shade right here and then this purple and this blue. I'm going to go ahead and swatch some of my favorite shades, which is not the entire palette. So these ones might be a little bit more hard to see because they are pastels, but look at what I mean about these shades. They just look so wet and beautiful, and I cannot even. So these shades I have swatched on my hand are Brilliant, which is my favorite shade. I love to just pop that on my lid like all the time. Then we have Mystical, Sky High, Dreamer, Into the Blue, Chill Thrill, and Echo. These shades are stunning, and literally Brilliant is the most beautiful shade, and you guys have probably seen it on my eyelids so many times. If my eyelids look wet and glittery and there's nothing else on them, it's that, because I just run to that shade. If they came out with that shade as like a single shadow, I would buy it in a heartbeat because I love wearing it on my eyes. I just take it and just whoosh, whoosh, and then it adds so much more to my look when I'm just doing like natural everyday makeup. So that was my #1 palette. So those were my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. I'm curious to know if any of you guys love those eyeshadow palettes, if you guys have tried them before. Do you guys like them? Do you hate them? I want to know. Let me know down below. Also, let me know what kind of eyeshadow palettes I should check out. I have been a little bit more picky lately with what eyeshadow palettes I want because I just noticed in my declutter that there's a lot that I don't use, and I'm probably going to be getting rid of some more once I get more palettes that I actually use. I'm slowly going to work out the ones that I don't use. And I feel like I don't do eyeshadow enough. Today I feel like was kind of one of those days where I was like really proud of how it turned out, and I definitely think I'm more pastel. My mom likes the bright side better, but I think I'm more the pastel side. But anyway, yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I said, let me know what kind of eyeshadow palettes I should check out. Let me know what your favorites are. Were any of these your favorites? Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel before you leave. I would really appreciate that. I post videos every single Saturday, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Bye!